On the 10th of March 2023, a group of 7 unknown Aussie comedians by the name of Yeahmad took over the internet by storm. Their unique dynamic and their dad joke-styled humor attracted millions, but fast forward 1 year, and most of the original crew had mysteriously vanished under strange circumstances. This left fans wondering, where did they go, and why did they leave? Well, apparently someone got greedy. This is the rise and fall of Yeahmad, and why the OG crew left. But to understand what really happened, we have to go back to where it all began. Yeahmad would launch their first ever video on March 10th, 2023, and they would go on and make a notorious series that would make them go viral. At the core of Yeahmad's viral success was one simple concept: a drinking game where 2 to 4 members would sit across from each other, trading jokes. And if you laughed, you drank. On paper, this concept wasn't groundbreaking. Most of the jokes were classic dad jokes, harmless, goofy, and occasionally shockingly dark. However, this was not a concept that was very original on paper. Other YouTube channels have done similar concepts with mixed results. However, what made Yeahmad different wasn't the jokes, it was them. The original Yeahmad crew was made up of 7 comedians: Abby Boom, Akila Amaratunga, Alan Fang, Andrew Hamilton, Matthew Penglace, Samantha Walsh, and Sath Nadasan. Most of them had modest followings in the Australian comedy scene, but outside their home country, they were virtually unknown. Yet when they came together, something magical happened. Each member brought their own style, humor, and energy, but put together, it all just clicked. And what they had couldn't be taught: chemistry. This wasn't just a bunch of comedians, it was a tight-knit crew, raw, unpredictable, and downright hilarious. And their chemistry is what became the beating heart of the channel. In a world full of polished and overproduced content, Yeahmad stood out because they felt real. And that realness? It didn't just pull in views, it created a movement. But just when it looked like nothing could stop them, things suddenly took a turn for the worse. On October 1st, 2023, roughly half a year after making their first video, Yeahmad had already reached 1 million subs, showcasing their popularity and a rapidly growing fan base. But just as quickly as they rose to fame, only a year later, the first cracks were starting to become visible. Guest appearances weren't new on the Yeahmad channel. However, in the newest videos, a lot of new comedians were introduced, and familiar faces were noticeably absent, leaving many fans wondering where they had gone. As of April 2024, 5 of the 7 original cast members had suddenly left the channel, posting vague statements on their social media regarding their departures. Former cast member Alan Fang wrote on Instagram, "Recently, there were conversations regarding the leadership of the channel, and as a result, many of the original team are no longer part of Yeahmad. No warning, no goodbyes." Fans were stunned and desperate for an explanation. Are you going to address the change of cast? Supposedly, most of the OGs have been let go or quit. In the meantime, Sath and Matt were the only original members who continued producing content with Yeahmad, aiming to maintain the channel's momentum and keep the audience engaged. They chose to stay rather than join the OG crew due to a mix of contractual obligations, personal circumstances, and professional considerations. For Matt, the decision was complicated by the fact that his partner worked at Yeahmad. Sath, on the other hand, was reportedly still under contract and lacked clear alternative career options outside of Yeahmad at the time. And even though Matt and Sath had stayed and the jokes remained hilarious as ever, many fans had a hard time adjusting to the newer faces, which they felt no attachment to. I've been waiting so long for this episode, but I'm kind of disappointed by the fact that the OG cast isn't in it. At the time, no official explanation was given for the sudden disappearance of Yeahmad's original stars. The silence only fueled the backlash. Fans were blindsided, and many responded with frustration and disappointment as their favorite cast members vanished without warning. Sath and Matt aren't enough to keep me subscribed without the OG crew. So long, Yeahmad. And the longer the silence lasted, rumors started to spread that the original founder of Yeahmad, Ben McCarthy, was the culprit behind the drama. I don't mind the new members, but learning what Ben did to the original ones, I feel completely discouraged to keep watching. You are throwing away a lifetime opportunity. Ben was hit with heavy accusations. Fans claimed he underpaid the cast, locked them into shady one-year contracts, and when the original crew asked for a fairer cut, he didn't negotiate, he just cut them out, as if he believed he alone was the reason Yeahmad blew up in the first place. But after the backlash reached its peak, Ben McCarthy finally broke his silence in a video titled "The Truth About Yeahmad." In the video, Ben opened up by admitting he had failed to communicate with fans and owed them an apology. The rumors had gotten out of control, and with former cast members chiming in, many viewers assumed the worst was true. However, Ben pushed back. According to him, much of what was being said online was either misunderstood or simply false. He claimed cast members were paid between $125 to $250 Australian dollars per segment, not per day, and emphasized that early on, the channel wasn't even monetized, and he was still tens of thousands in debt. The contracts, he said, lasted 6 months, not a year, and included a 30-day opt-out clause. Cast members could leave at any time with a month's notice. And as the channel grew, so did the cast's pay. Ben showed payment figures that jumped from a few $1,000s in the early days to over 100,000 Australian dollars a few months later, with even more projected if the cast stayed on. According to him, 2 to 3 shoot days a month could have earned each member up to $600,000 a year. So, why did they fall out? Ben says he offered a profit-sharing deal, 25% of revenue from new concepts and 30% from merchandise and brand deals. But one cast member wanted 50% of everything. Ben felt it was too soon. The channel was only 5 months in, and he hadn't even broken even on his costs. From Ben's point of view, the demand was too risky. That's when things apparently turned sour. Ben says one cast member threatened to start a competing channel and take the comedians with him. It was rumored on Reddit that the cast member Ben was referring to was Andrew "Hamo" Hamilton. Ben saw this as a direct threat and decided to cut ties. Some cast members urged him to reconsider, and eventually Andrew was brought back. That truce, however, was short-lived. When similar threats resurfaced months later, Ben says the decision was clear. It was time to part ways for good. Ben also admits to losing his cool during a meeting, but claims he apologized immediately. Despite his regrets, he says they tried to make it work, but the tension behind the scenes was just too strong. He wrapped up the video by addressing both the fans and the original cast directly. He understood the frustration. He knew losing the old crew hurt, and while a new cast was now in place, he promised to keep creating the best content he could. He also wished the former cast success on their new channel and personally thanked Andrew, Alan, Akila, Sam, and Abby, the original faces of Yeahmad.
On the 11th of September, after months of absence, a video was released. The former cast of Yeahmad started a new YouTube channel, calling themselves quite fittingly the OG Crew. They released a trailer including the former stars of Yeahmad, Abby, Akila, Alan, Andrew, and Sam. The OG Crew quickly regained momentum. Within weeks of releasing only a trailer, they amassed over 300,000 subscribers, reaching the 1 million mark by March 2025. It became clear, the loyalty wasn't just to the Yeahmad brand, it was to them. One fan commented on the trailer, "Yeahmad pretty much made a masterclass on how to screw oneself over by having you go out. You guys were what made Yeahmad a channel, so happy to get you all together again." Another fan on Reddit shared, "There is a reason successful TV shows end up paying millions per episode to their cast members as the seasons go by. They are not something you can easily replace." In the end, the situation between Ben and the OG Crew could have been handled more smoothly, but things have since settled. Now fans have not just one, but 2 channels to enjoy, each with its own distinct style. The OG Crew now focuses on comedic challenges and games like Truth or Drink, Fear Pong, and Mystery Link, highlighting their natural chemistry and playful humor. Meanwhile, Yeahmad sticks to its roots with their signature dad joke-style comedy, but keeps it fresh with new creative formats like Yo Mama battles featuring the comedians' actual moms. One fan summed it up perfectly. I don't know what happened with the whole other channel, Yeahmad, but with this channel, the OG crew, being a thing now, well, it gives the audience more laughs to enjoy with the two channels being a thing. Sometimes life can be really shoddy, but the more things that keep us laughing through the rough times, the better. Thank you for diving deeply, leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.